Hi, this is Cliff Nelson from Redwood Tutoring. I'd like to talk with you about part 2 of factoring trinomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c. Now notice how the coefficient before the x squared is a 1. Now if I have a problem that goes like this, I want to factor t squared minus t minus 30. Well, in this case, the coefficient before the t is a -1. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab that -1. That's what goes on the bottom. The -30 is what goes on the top. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to -30. That means that they have to have opposite signs. One's negative and one's positive. It looks like -6 and +5 will do the trick. So if I'm going to factor this, it's going to factor as follows. It's going to factor as t minus 6 times t plus 5. Well, let's go ahead and just verify t squared plus 5t minus 6t, that gives me my -1t, minus 30. That looks great. This looks like our final answer. Now, how about this problem? X squared minus 15xy plus 56y squared. Now, notice how this problem has a pattern that it follows. It goes in descending powers of x and ascending powers of y. Now, if the problem was stated as follows, if the problem was x squared minus 15x plus 56, that is, if I didn't have any of the y's, well, you guys would know how to deal with that. You would say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the 56 on the top, the -15 on the bottom, and I'm going to look for two numbers that multiply to -56 and add to -15. Well, it looks to me like -7 and -8 will do the trick. So based on that, I'm going to be able to factor this as x minus 7 times x minus 8. Now, here's the thing. The difference between this problem and this problem is just that this problem has more y's involved. Well, here's how I'm going to go ahead and factor. I'm going to keep the same format here, except for I'm just going to tack some y's on at the end. So this is going to be x minus 7y times x minus 8y. So you do the same thing as if the y's weren't there, and then we account for them at the end. Well, let's just FOIL, just to make sure that this is a trick that works. Well, these two give me x squared. Then I have -8xy, then I have minus 7xy, and then plus 56y squared. Well, these two are going to, in fact, give me the -15xy. This is going to match up with this one. That means that I have the right answer. I have factored that trinomial. Let me go ahead and do two more problems that might represent curveballs if you see them. Clear a little bit of board space. Three x to the 4th plus 12x cubed minus 15x squared. Well, the first thing you might think is this doesn't fit the pattern that we're used to. Well, what you need to do when you come across a problem like this is, first of all, just ask, what do they have in common? Is there something that I could factor out? Well, in this case, I could factor out a 3, but more than that, I could also factor out an x squared. They all have 3x squared in common. So what's remaining is x squared plus 4x minus 5. Now let's just distribute that just to make sure. 3x squared times x squared is 3x to the fourth. 3x squared times 4x is 12x cubed. 3x squared times negative 5x is negative 15x squared. And now this trinomial right here fits the form that I want. I'm going to go ahead and look for two numbers that multiply to negative 5, using that negative 5 there, and then add to positive 4. Well, I know that those two numbers have to have opposite signs because they multiply to a negative number. It looks to me like negative 1 and positive 5 will do the trick. Negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. So this is going to be 3x squared. Don't forget to keep writing this 3x squared. And then this breaks down into x minus 1 times x plus 5. And then we could just FOIL to make sure. X squared plus 5x minus 1x, that gives me my plus 4x, and then minus 5. This looks great. Here I have fully factored this trinomial. Now, let's suppose that I have the following problem. Just need a little bit extra board space, and I think I could fit the rest of it in right here. Let's suppose that I want to factor x squared plus 13x plus 7. Well, this does fit the form that we're used to. Here I could go ahead and start with my technique. I'm going to look for two numbers that multiply to 7 and that add to 13. Multiply to 7 and add to 13. Multiply to 7, it looks like 1 and 7 will do the trick, but that's not going to add to 13. Negative 1 and negative 7, that's not going to work either. In fact, there are no integers that do the trick. There's nothing that I could do to factor this trinomial. When you come across a problem like this, the right answer is to say prime. This is what's called a prime polynomial. You do not factor it. You cannot factor it using integers. Well, thank you for joining me. This is Cliff Nelson from Redwood Tutoring. Have a great day.